Hello you guys and welcome back to my channel. I am so excited for today's video. We are going to go through all my fun girly books that I read in the month of September. It is officially fall now, so light your candles, grab something cozy to drink, and let's talk about all these terrible but so good books that I read this month. I do have a disclaimer. I'm supposed to be having a fantasy girl fall, but hear me out, okay? September to me is not fall yet. It is still summer in the Northwest. So I accidentally got deterred off of my fantasy girl fall and accidentally started a mafia girl fall, okay? I pretty much read only mafia books last month. I don't know what happened, but I had a lot of fun. But now that it's October, it's officially fall, my next book update should be more fantasy girl. And I know I haven't done one of these in a long time, and I've literally only done one before, and I think it was in the spring. I'll link it here, but it's so, I just love to read, and I love to read like little fun, romancy, girly fantasy books. So let's talk about all the books that I read this month. Starting strong, I have to go through my Goodreads to find these. I read The King of Frost and Shadows. I give it 3 stars, and the thing is, I do not remember a single thing about this book. I have no idea what this was about, but a fun fact about me is I give almost everything 5 stars. It is so easy. Did I like it? A little bit, even a little bit, 5 stars. So the fact that I gave this 3 stars, not a good start. The other, I literally cannot remember anything about this book. Hold on. So obviously, my recommendation would be, don't read it, because I cannot remember. I'm gonna pull up my Kindle and see if I annotated anything. Jordan, if you're watching this, hot girls like to annotate, okay? Don't judge me. If you're an annotator too, just know that you're not alone, and it's fun to annotate. And you're always supposed to put the love scenes in pink. I don't make the rules. Oh! I do remember this book now. Okay. They're basically, like, fated, and they're taken apart as children. It just wasn't that good to me. Like, he just wasn't my favorite male character. I really don't have anything to say. It just really wasn't that good. It just wasn't my favorite, okay? I do remember it now, though. Starting strong. Okay. Next book that I read, I did a little reread, okay? Apparently I did start a fantasy girl fall. This is before I got on the mafia kick, alright? I read A Court of Thorns, no, I read A Court of Mist and Fury and A Court of Wings and Ruin. Both 5 stars for me. I skipped A Court of Thorns and Roses. This is probably like my 3rd or 4th reread. Hold on. I wonder if Goodreads will tell you how many times you've read this book. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's my 5th reread, okay, of A Court of Mist and Fury. It's just so good. And I feel like that was like my little treat to myself for the fall because I do not like fall. But 5 stars, I have no complaints. A Court of Mist and Fury is my favorite of the whole series, so I was very happy to read her again. I like A Court of Wings and Ruin as well. I didn't really like A Court of Silver Flames. That was my least favorite, actually, which I know is going to ruffle some book feathers. But, so those were 2, so I'm up to 3 now. Now, this is where we accidentally go mafia, okay? For some reason, I needed a palate cleanser, okay? Whatever that first book that I read that wasn't very good, I was like, I'm scarred. I need a palate cleanser before I keep going into fantasy. So I was like, I need a little mafia palate cleanser, as one does. And I pretty much read them all already. Like, I read, is it like the Maddest Obsession or like something like that? I don't know. It was on TikTok. I read that a long time ago. 5 stars. There was another one that was like almost identical. 5 stars. I feel like my issue with mafia books is I really like the first one and then I do not like the second one. So then I don't go through the series very well. But in my Google hunt of mafia books, I found a series called The Brutal Birthright, okay? It's so good. So I read the first one, 5 stars. I love the main characters. This one, even though I've given them all pretty much 5 stars, spoiler alert, the first one was by far my favorite. I loved the main characters. He was so good. I don't want to give any spoilers away in case anybody wants to read these. If anybody's even gonna watch this, because who knows? Anyways, this was just so good. I feel like it was a really good amount of fun scenes, like little smutty scenes, and like actual plot. I feel like the mafia thing can get really overdone. They're kind of all the same. Like I feel like once you've read one, you've kind of read them all. But this was a little different. I feel like they brought in other mafias, like there was like the Irish mafia, the Russian mafia, which I hadn't seen before, so that was kind of fun. And I just loved the characters. It was like 2 people that hated each other like actually enemies to lovers, and it was just written so good. So then I feel like I love a series like that too, where it goes through the family. So it's like each book is about a different member of the family, or like of the families, of the mafia families, like all in the same world. And I think that's so fun then to see a few bits and pieces of your favorite characters as you're going through the books. So the first one I gave 5 stars. I loved it, loved it, loved it. The second one, which was called A Stolen Heir, I gave 4 stars. Okay, I thought I gave them 5 stars, but I gave this one 4 stars. I just didn't like this storyline as much. This was like a kidnapping one, and so he kidnaps one of the daughters. Like one mafia guy kidnaps the daughter of another mafia guy, and then surprise, surprise, they end up falling in love. I feel like it happened really quick for me. Like it was like so much hate, and then all of a sudden she's like, "Oh, I think I love him," and I was like, "Wow, so surprised." So I don't think this one, like the story was really good, and I really liked the main characters, but I feel like their romance was really spread out and then really rushed in the middle, which I still gave it 4 stars. I think I read it in like a day, so I obviously very much enjoyed it. Then I went back to fantasy because this was my book club book. This is the only book I have in like actual print. The others I just read on my Kindle as an ebook, or I use my iPad with the Kindle app. Anyways, because my husband won't buy me a Kindle. If you're watching this, Jordan, I really would like a Kindle for Christmas. Because I know you're editing this, so I know you'll see it. Anyways, so I read the Book of Azrael. This was my book club book, and my book club is made up of my family and my girlfriends. And me and my girlfriend, me and Han, we are fantasy readers. The rest of the group, not so much a fantasy reader. So I felt like I had a lot of pressure to pick a good fantasy book. And I feel like some of the issue with fantasy for me is like I can't do it as a book. It's like this series. But obviously for book club, I'm just picking one book. I'm not picking an 8-book series. Otherwise I'd pick Throne of Glass every time, because nothing will ever beat Throne of Glass for me. Anyways, that was a tangent. Sorry. This was my book club book. She is thick. Also, we all had complaints. I don't know if this is gonna focus. This is like a Bible. Like, who double spaced this, space and a half this or something? I was like getting eye strain. I got headaches reading this thing. I had to switch to my iPad like halfway through so I can make the text bigger. But anyways, I gave this book 5 stars. Oh no, just kidding. I gave it 4 stars. Overall, this book was very good. I feel like the world was a little bit confusing. Like the world building was a little bit rushed, a little bit confusing. I feel like I constantly had to be like, who is this? Like, what are they again? It did have good twists and turns. Like, I don't want to give away any spoilers, but so if you haven't read this book, maybe fast forward for the next few seconds. But when they brought back like the vampire prince, I was very shocked by that. I thought he was for sure dead. And then the ending, I won't give away the ending, but the ending was really good. I feel like that made the whole book worth it. I really liked the 2 main characters and their romance. I'm excited for the next one. I haven't started it yet, but I will read the next one. But overall, I thought this was very good. The main male character, this is gonna sound really bad, wasn't my favorite, because I feel like sometimes I just needed him to stop moping and man up. You know, I like him really manly. And he was very manly, but he just needed to put his big girl panties on and stand up for his woman, even though she didn't really need to be stood up for. But that was like my one qualm. I'm like, he was just not my super favorite main male character I've ever read. I feel like the blueprint is always Rowan from Throne of Glass, and it's like if he falls short of that, I'm like, and he did fall short of that for me. Just a little bit. But overall, 4 stars. I would recommend. I just don't know if I'd recommend it in print, because you actually your eyeballs might bleed. It was so hard to read. And then you'd like read and read and read, and you'd be like, oh my god, there's 5 pages, now it's half an hour. Okay, moving on. So then I went back to the Mafia books for a while. And so then I read the 3rd Mafia book in that series that I was reading, called Savage Lover, which is the 3rd one I think I said, and I gave this one 5 stars. I loved this one. This one was about one of the middle brothers from, like, the main characters were like the Italian Mafia, okay? And then this is like one of the middle brothers of the Italian Mafia, and I feel like his story was so good, and I loved the girl in the story, the main girl character, and I feel like they just fit together so perfectly. Like, they were just made for each other. They loved cars, which was like not my thing at all, because I'm just a girl. but I felt like their love story was really sweet. Overall, I loved it. I don't want to spoil it if anybody reads it. These are all Kindle Unlimited, by the way. So if you have Kindle, if your dad pays for Kindle Unlimited like mine does, even though I don't think he knows that he does, they're free. Thanks, Mike. But I think this one and then the very first one were my favorite of the series. Then I read Reckless by Lauren Roberts, which is the second of the Powerless trilogy. And so I had put this on hold at the library because I didn't want to pay for it. And I think I had put it on hold, like, when did it come out? Hold on, let me look when it came out. I put it on hold July 2nd and I just got it. So I waited for quite a while. I got it at like, I think I got it like September 27th and I finished it September 28th. Overall, I gave this 4 stars. And let me explain why. I think I might accidentally say some spoilers. So if you haven't read this one or Powerless, the first one, maybe just skip this part as well. Or if you like a spoiler like me, just keep watching. I loved like their banter and their romance through this one. But I feel like nothing happened. Like, it was literally all in the desert. And the storyline didn't really progress. Like, I could have called from the beginning, big spoiler alert here, that he was not going to kill her like he was ordered to. And so I feel like nothing really happened. Like, to me, this was a filler book because the first book got so popular. Kind of like the second, oh my god, what were the dragon ones that were really popular? Iron Flame. What was the first one? Wasn't that? Yeah, the first, yeah. Iron Flame. That one to me felt like a filler. This was on like the same. Like, it was good. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I liked the characters. I love the main male character. I really liked Kai. But the names, I'm like, okay, they're supposed to be, it's like this old fantasy world and they're named Kai and Payton. That kind of threw it off for me. Okay, my camera battery died, but we're back in business. But what I was saying, I think I was talking about Reckless still, is that I was so shocked by the ending. And a lot of times in books, I'm like really good at picking up cues of like foreshadowing and I'm like, okay, I think that's what's gonna happen. But they kept talking about a box, like, oh, Kit has a box over my head. I'm like, oh, is it a special weapon to kill her? I don't know. I had no idea that what it was is what it was. So that to me like totally redeemed the fact that nothing happened in the book, that the ending left on such a cliffhanger, and I'm so sad that it's so long until the next book comes out, which I think it's a trilogy. According to Goodreads, it's a trilogy, so it should be the last one. So I'm very excited about that. So overall, that was 4 stars for me. My really only qualm with that, my complaint, was that nothing happened. But their romance and like all the tension was just so good. So I loved that. That was maybe my, even though I gave it 4 stars, like overall maybe my favorite read of the month. And then the last one that I read, I gave 2 stars, you guys. 2 stars. I never give books 2 stars. Actually, sometimes I give them 1, but usually about a 2-er. And so this was, I'm back to the Mafia books now. And so this is called Bloody Heart, which is the 4th Mafia book. And it goes over the brother that I was most excited about. It's like the biggest brother, the toughest, like, So I was most excited to read about him. And the girl main character, she totally sucked. So I never read a book that was like set up like this before, where they were together and like, were they 18, like fresh out of high school, and they separate for like a decade, and then they come back together. And I feel like the main, like, the plot of the book was really good. Like the mafia plot of the book was super enjoyable. Like I was way more into what was happening like with the families than what was happening with the romance, even though it's supposed to be a romance book, you know? So I did give it 2 stars because I loved the main male character and the plot was actually super good. Usually I'm like, I don't even care about the plot, romance only. It just didn't do it for me. And so I'm just gonna spoil this, but she is pregnant when she leaves, and then she has the baby and doesn't tell him, and for 10 years she doesn't tell him that he has a son, and he just forgets her like that. Like, he's mad for like 10 minutes, and then he's like, oh, well, what? And it was because of her parents, and then there was like never really any closure with that either, of like the parents being like, oh, it's okay that we did that. We made your sister adopt your baby because you were 18 and we didn't want to put whatever. That was a terrible explanation. But that is basically what happened. And that is all of my reads for the month. Let's count how many that was. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, oh hell. Hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That was 9 books. And it was just so good. So many fun books. I think I have 2 left in the Mafia book, and then we are officially starting Fantasy Girl Fall. So the next one, unless I really get back on the Mafia kick, the next book update should be all Fantasy Girl Fall. So I hope you enjoyed this very long video talking about books. If you are still watching at this point, let me know what your favorite book is in the comments. Mine is definitely Empire of Storms from Throne of Glass, and that will always be my favorite. If you like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and I will see you guys in the next one.